An entitled Karen demands that I teach her kid how to swim after she lets him wander into the deep end, claiming that I'm a bad person by not wanting to do it, and that I should be helping out her kid because it would be the right thing to do. And I'm honestly still blown away by this Karen's attitude, because this level of negligence is honestly absolutely baffling. Here's what happened. Okay, so I often go to the pool once or twice a week just to stay in shape and try to relax. I went there Saturday evening, and the pool I go to has two different pools. A fun one with slides and bubbles and things like that, mainly for children or people who just want to relax. And then we have a real one, where people swim in lanes. Now in the real one, there are two sides. One for experienced swimmers that is about 3 to 4 meters deep, and one for people who are learning that is pretty shallow. It is a well-known rule that people who can't really swim well can't go in the deep part, and you can't stop or play in there as it's meant for serious swimming. Well, I was swimming in the deep part, and while I was doing a backstroke, I felt my hand hit something. Well, I turned around and I saw a young kid that was maybe 7 years old. I told him that he shouldn't be there because people were going pretty fast and he could get hurt by other swimmers. But while I was talking to him, I noticed that he wasn't swimming very well. He was doing weird movements and barely keeping his head above the water. So I got out of the pool with him and I looked for his mom. Now at this pool, people that accompany children but don't swim can get inside without paying and just sit around the pool, which is what this mom was doing. We then find her looking at her phone, and I tell her that it was pretty dangerous for her child to be in the deep end of the pool when he didn't know how to swim well, and he could get hit by other swimmers. She then looks up, clearly annoyed, and then tells me it's okay, he's just a kid. So I told her that I wasn't upset at him, but I was just concerned for his safety. She then told me that if I really was concerned for his safety, I would have taught him how to swim instead of making him get out, and that it would be safer for him if I taught him. I told her that wasn't my role, but she started saying that that's not very nice for him, and that I should help out a child when I saw that he was in distress. I told her that I wouldn't because, for starters, I'm not qualified to teach children. Not to mention this is a huge liability, and I don't want to be responsible for a boy's life. And I paid to do this, and I'm just here to relax. She then started telling me that I was selfish for not sharing my skills, that I swam well enough to teach children, and that she wasn't asking for a lot of my time, that I should be happy to help others and all this other garbage. But I just said no again, and she looked at me and said, "I just can't believe this," while also shaking her head. Well, trust me, Karen, I can't believe this either, because the level of entitlement that I saw from her truly blew my mind. Yeah, this is actually unbelievably unsafe. It's not even funny. You mean to tell me that she left her kid in the pool to go swim in the deep end, and she's not sitting there watching or at least like helping him swim or something like that? Like she would rather have a stranger take care of her kid instead of having an active role in making sure that he doesn't drown? Like, what is wrong with this lady? She should never be at a pool ever again. That is so unsafe, and it's so unfair for the person literally just trying to swim around. And it's honestly crazy that she really tried to guilt trip you into like teaching her son how to swim, when in reality that is something you need to teach a kid before he even steps foot in the water. Like that should be closely monitored, not just like, okay, go have fun. Like that is crazy to me. So yeah, this Karen was super irresponsible, and the fact that she did not care if her kid was like swimming or drowning and was expecting you to teach him how to swim, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for sleeping in on a family vacation to Disney World and effectively pissing off my entire family? Because right now things are not the same, and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 25-year-old female, and recently I went on a family vacation that resulted in basically all my cousins cutting ties with me and vice versa. My fiance and I were invited by a few of my cousins to go to Disney World with them. So we took some unpaid time off of work, we booked our flights and bought park tickets. On the first day, the plan was to go to Epcot, but I decided to sleep in, and my fiance kindly stayed back at the resort to wait for me. Once we made it there, I texted a chat with a couple of my cousins, notifying them and requesting that we meet up. Well, we never did, though we did all make plans to meet for dinner at about 8 o'clock p.m. However, at 6:55 p.m., my cousin, who we will call Brad, reached out to me to inform me that they were actually changing dinner to 7 o'clock p.m. And at that point, we were in line for a ride. I communicated this and I didn't get a reply, and then anxiously added that they could go without us if they wanted. Well, that's exactly what they did. And I'd been disappointed that we hadn't met up the entire day, and was even more disappointed that they decided to move up dinner. The next day, the plan was to go to Magic Kingdom, and I once again slept in and got to the park later than everyone else. This time though, we were able to meet up with everyone. However, at some point after getting off of a ride, everyone had left without my fiance and I. Even though we were were on the same ride, and they would have had to wait maybe a single minute for us. This left me extremely annoyed. After some time, I recalled that I had Brad's location, and I checked it only to find that they had left the park and gone to a bar without us. Well, feeling incredibly hurt, I then created a group chat with all 8 people to explain that I wanted to spend time with everyone and asked that they let me know when they were doing things so that my fiance and I could join them. They were receptive to this. However, the trend soon continued on. Additionally, we failed to get access to one of the bars we were going to meet them at because the elevator wouldn't take us to the floor, and we were also late for dinner because we let everyone else get ahead of us and missed the bus. We were also blamed for a prank that someone was pulling within the suite where a new victim would find a puddle of coffee under their pillow every night. Eventually, I reached out to my cousin, who we will call Josh, who seemed to be the source of this hostility, and I simply asked if there was any kind of issue. He then said that our tardiness bothered him, and we ended up getting into it for a bit with no real resolution. On the last day, they all had dinner without inviting us. Before this, I had texted to ask what they were up to, and they replied that they were stuck in the rain. And when I pressed further, they doubled down, and I just took the hint. We left the next day early in the morning to catch our flights, and I sent a text saying goodbye, expressing thanks and wishing everybody a safe trip. A few of them replied, but I would say that things were definitely left on bad terms. And I thought it was over, but it honestly still keeps me up sometimes. And to this day, I still cannot figure out what went wrong or if I'm to blame. So am I the jerk here? What should I do? Okay, you're probably not gonna like me saying this, but yes, you are the jerk. You slept in literally 2 of the days that they were trying to go out and do something as a family. They invited you to go to Disney with them, not for you to be late all because you're like, oh, I'm gonna sleep in. Like seriously, just set an alarm on your phone and call it good. Or even set up like 20 alarms, whatever it takes to wake up. Like if I had somebody I had invited to be a part of my group when I went to Disney World and they didn't show up on time for anything, I would feel incredibly offended and super annoyed. Like at that point, I would just think to myself, yeah, they definitely don't want to spend any time with me. So yes, you absolutely are the jerk in this situation because the way you blew off your cousins is absolutely unacceptable. Am I the jerk for telling my friend to stop bringing up religion so incessantly anytime we visit our other friend who's in a mental health hospital? Because right now, there's been a falling out in our friend group, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 19-year-old female, and I have been a part of a friend group since middle school and the beginning of high school. One of my friends, who we will call Sarah, has been deeply depressed for the past 2 years. She is seeing a lot of doctors and has been on many different medications, and recently she was admitted into a mental hospital. Through that very hard time, we all try to support her as much as possible, which includes us going to visit her at least twice a week. Well, she's been in the hospital for around a month and a half now, and we've gone to visit her many times. Now, each time we visit her, one of my friends that I will call Mary talks about religion. For context, we were all in a very private Catholic school, and while some of us don't believe in God or aren't very religious, many of my friends are believers. And I know it was Mary's way of trying to be supportive and to help Sarah according to what she personally believes, but it sometimes felt a bit insensitive. She would say a lot of things like, I'll pray for you, God will help you, and this was every time Sarah talked about struggling or when Sarah mentioned how bored she was. Mary would then say, oh, you could read the Bible. And yes, I know she meant to be nice and wanted to help, but it felt a bit weird, especially since we all know that Sarah doesn't believe in God and has had some bad experiences with religion in the past. The last time we all went to see her, which was 2 days ago, Sarah mentioned that it had been a really bad week, and she had been having these really dark thoughts, if you know what I mean. Well, when she told us that, Mary immediately screamed. She said to her, you can't do that, you'll go to Hades. Now, considering the state that Sarah was in and what she had just told us, I felt like that was the worst possible reaction. Now, I was a bit angry at her, so I looked at her and I said something like, could you please stop bringing up religion for 2 seconds? Not all of us care about that. And after that, she got upset and ended up leaving the hospital. While most of my friends agreed with me and think it was inappropriate of Mary to say that, some are defending her, which has created a lot of tension in our group, and a fight like this is the last thing that Sarah needs, I think. So I tried to talk to Mary to make things better and tried to explain to her why I said what I said, but she then got super angry at me and said that I was disrespecting her religion. I feel bad about all of this, partly because Mary was a good friend, so I'm sad that we're fighting, but also because the situation is making it worse for Sarah. Now, I really want to fix this, so if I was in the wrong, please tell me, and I'll try to understand and apologize to Mary, and if I'm not sure what else I can do to make her understand that I'm not insulting her or her religion. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you are not the jerk for telling Mary off, because what she was doing is not helping. Literally, she's just making things worse, and now your friend friend group is having some kind of like fallout all because of her weird attitude. And that is not fair for your friend who's literally in a mental health hospital. So no, you're not the jerk for calling her out. She shouldn't be doing that anyways. This is not the time to be injecting that into Sarah's like situation. If anything, now's the time to listen to her and be supportive. Like, she's in the right place for this kind of thing, so she's clearly getting the help necessary to make it through this. And I can understand if Mary said this maybe once or twice, but now it's becoming so incessant that literally anyone would get annoyed by this. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, because if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. Am I the jerk for not pushing for my wife to have a bigger role in my daughter's wedding? Because as it stands right now, my wife, who is my daughter's stepmom, literally isn't doing anything at the moment. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my ex and I weren't together very long when we had our daughter, who we will call Riley. We broke up while my ex was still pregnant, and a year and a half later, my ex married her husband, who we will call Philip. Riley was with me every Tuesday and then every other weekend with split holidays. As she lived with her mom and Philip more, he became a father figure to her. She doesn't call him dad, but has made it clear that she thinks that she has two dads. I have never been threatened by Philip and have a lot of respect for him. He, my ex, and I all get along really well. Fast forward, and I married my wife when Riley was 13 years old, and while the two of them do get along, they aren't as close as she is to Philip. I know she doesn't consider her another mother figure, and I was okay with this, as Philip had been in my daughter's life longer and was around her. Riley was always very polite and considerate towards my wife, and I could tell that my wife was hurt that they weren't closer, but I didn't want to push the issue. Eventually, my wife and I had a son together. Fast forward to now, and Riley is in her mid-20s and is getting married. I'm walking her down the aisle with Philip on her other arm. My son is going to be a junior groomsman, and my ex is being escorted by her father down the aisle as well. Riley's siblings from her mom's side are also in the wedding party. When my wife asked Riley what her role was, my daughter said she wanted her to sit up front and she'll be in family photos. My wife asked about a special dress, and Riley said they could go shopping together, but she didn't care what she wears. She doesn't have to match the bridal party or anything. Well, my wife is very hurt and wants a larger role in the wedding. She wants to walk our son down the aisle, but Riley said her sister on her mom's side, who's very close in age with him, is walking with him as they're a junior bridesmaid. My wife kept suggesting other ways that she could walk down the aisle, and Riley gently shut her down. I wasn't here for the conversation and only found out about it after the fact. My wife then came to me and says I need to convince my daughter to give her some role in the wedding, but I simply say that it's my daughter's day, and I'm not going to tell her who gets what role. She will have the opportunity to do mother of the groom stuff if and when our son ever gets married. She said that Philip has a big role, and he even gets to dance with my daughter at the wedding, but I pointed out that Philip has been in her life since she was 10 months old, and he literally helped raise her. But Riley and my wife don't have that dynamic. My wife is now very upset with me and says that I'm enabling my daughter in excluding her, but I seriously don't feel that this is my place. So am I the jerk for not pushing the matter more? Because right now I'm still incredibly annoyed. No, there's nothing to push here. In my opinion, your wife is being weird. Riley literally does not have the connection with her that she does with Philip. So for your wife to be like, wow, this isn't fair, you need to push for this, I could do all this other stuff, like, that's super obnoxious, and it's like, oh my god, please take the hint. So truly, the way your wife is acting is super weird, and in my opinion, it's just really embarrassing overall. Am I the jerk for returning my daughter's graduation money, all because she dropped out of college halfway through the first semester? Here's what happened. Okay, so we held a graduation party for my daughter, and most of our friends and family came. Even those who couldn't attend sent cards with money. My daughter had received a large scholarship that she had worked hard to get and had been accepted to our local university. Now, I paid into a college fund for her for most of her life, but that only covered the tuition. Room and board, fees, living expenses, and books all had to be covered from her savings, student loans, and the gifts that she received for graduation. Those gifts were over $3,000 and helped ensure that she would be able to attend. Well, halfway through the first semester, she decided college wasn't for her. Not that it was too hard, she just didn't want to go. Now she wants to drop out after this semester and work on becoming a bartender. And that's fine, I mean, it's her life, she is over 18 years old, but the gifts that she got were for college. And right now, I'm making her return the money, what's left of it at least, because it was a sacrifice for many of the people who gave it to her. So truly, am I the jerk for making my daughter do this? Because right now, I really don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I absolutely think you are the jerk, because this was a graduation present. It wasn't a going to college present, it was a gift that she was given after she graduated high school. So for you to be like, oh, you're not going to college? Time to return everything that you just got from people. That was a sacrifice and you're wasting it. Like, what are you doing? That's so weird. It's also so controlling and so toxic. There's no reason to act that way, and I just just can't understand someone actually doing that to their kid. Like if I gave a gift or gave some money to someone who was graduating and then their mom comes back and says, we need to return this, they're not going to college, I would be like, wait a second, what are you doing? I gave this to him because it was a graduation gift, which by the way is not that unusual, especially when you consider that some people just never go to college, which also is completely fine. So yes, you definitely are the jerk for forcing her to do this because she absolutely deserves to have those gifts. Am I the jerk for refusing to drive nearly 2 hours just to deliver a box of chocolates to my boss, which resulted in me getting kicked out of his studio? Because right now I'm very confused and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 29-year-old female and I work for an artist in LA. Before I went on a trip to France, I offered to bring my boss something as a gift because we have a friendly working relationship. He asked for chocolate and he even gave me $100 to buy it. Well, I bought the chocolates and messaged him when I got back, but he suggested that I drive to his place 45 minutes away on a Sunday just to give it to him. Now, I felt it was a bit much to drive that far outside of working hours just to deliver chocolates, so I delayed it, thinking that I would give them to him the next time that I saw him. Throughout the week, his other assistant and I tried to coordinate a time for the delivery, but plans kept falling through. Once because she didn't respond, and another because she messaged me too late the day before, and my day was already full. Finally, I went to work this morning on a Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning, but in my rush to be on time, I forgot the chocolates. When I arrived, my boss was silently pressuring me to go back and get them. He turned what felt like a request into an order. He was acting really authoritative and strange. I was cleaning the studio, and when I finished, he gave me an ultimatum. Either I drive back and get the chocolates, which would be a 1.5 hour drive round trip in LA traffic, and I needed to do this right then and there, or we were done working together. Feeling like the whole situation was absurd, I tried to talk to him, but he got aggressive and kicked me out of the studio, all without paying me for the day. He said he didn't care about the past and just wanted his chocolates or we are done. And at that point, I felt like a peon. What started as a friendly gesture turned into an order. I was willing to deliver the chocolates the next day, but he insisted on immediate delivery and kicked me out when I questioned his reaction and why I felt weird just to be forced to drive 1.5 hours just for that. He literally did not even want to have a calm discussion. So am I the jerk for not driving back to get the chocolates and refusing his ultimatum? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Yeah, your boss sounds like a piece of garbage, and the fact that he expected you to drop everything that you were doing that day and go after these stupid chocolates right then and there, that in my opinion is so weird and so toxic. Anytime a boss gives you an ultimatum, especially when it's something ridiculous, for me that's a big red flag that yes, I really do need to get out of here. Now you could have taken the other route of being like, oh okay, I can see this is really important to you, so I'll go get it. And then after that, like look for a new job right away. But I also like the fact that you stood your ground and said, no, I'm not doing this. This is incredibly weird. So no, you're not the jerk for putting your foot down because this guy's demands were absolutely unacceptable. My entitled friend has moved into my house and has yet to do anything with their life, expecting me to bankroll their entire situation while also demanding that I save money at the same time. And I'm honestly just wanting them to leave because I'm so exhausted and I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I let my friend move in because they literally had nowhere else to go. And this is all a lot on me because I should have talked more about what I expected. I am okay with helping them out, but I feel like they just expect me to bankroll them. I have bought a lot of stuff because they told me that we need it, and a lot of it, yes, comes in handy, but we could honestly do without it. I ask them what they want when I make a grocery order, and so because of that, my bill is more than twice what it was when it was just me. But then they go out and order DoorDash all the time, even though they say they don't have money to help out with the expenses. I am so broke, and my car payment is past due, and then they just sit there and try to tell me what to do. In fact, tonight, they told me to get a cheaper car insurance to save money. They also told me that we just absolutely need an expensive tool. They apparently started a furniture flipping business, and they would need this tool for that specific business. And they also said they're saving all their money to buy a truck because they need that for the furniture flipping business they haven't even started yet. For reference, they work freelance, and they had told me they were paying $350 a month in rent in the place they were at before, so I thought they would at least be able to contribute a little bit. Now, they have bought furniture because they said we needed it, but again, while it is good to have, what is important right now is being able to pay the bills, and that should come before anything else. I have a full-time, very high-stress job, and we are very short-handed right now. I suck at setting boundaries, and this entire situation is horrible for my mental health. I just want them gone, but they have nowhere else to go. I'm afraid to try and talk to them. There have already been several things in my house that either broke or are not working since they've been here, I don't think it's on purpose, but they are not gentle, and they don't seem to have respect for my stuff. I feel like they think I'm just gonna sacrifice everything else to buy them the stuff that they want, because they think they deserve my money and deserve to tell me what I should buy for my house or for them instead of letting me decide for myself. What should I do? Oh man, if this was me, I would have already started the eviction process. Look, I totally get it that this is your friend and you care about them, and they have supposedly nowhere else to go, but from what you're describing, this person is clearly taking advantage of you. Seriously, like think about it for a second. They don't contribute to the house, they're asking you to buy everything, and yet they DoorDash food all the time. They're breaking stuff and things are going missing, and they're saying they're gonna do something with their life, but then again, they don't. And it's like, wait a second, what are we doing here? For starters, yes, you absolutely should not have let them in your house without some kind of like clear expectation, but also the fact that they're now here and still not doing anything is more than enough reason to be like, listen, you either pay rent or you have gotta go. Because what you're describing right now does not sound reasonable, and in my opinion, I think it definitely is time for them to move out. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.